Seuton, love, peace, blessing, all manner of health, healing, wellness, abundance, laughter, love, joy, peace, prosperity. Something good is going to happen to you today. And today wanted to just develop a little bit on the idea of building your own kingdom. Again, Kindom, as opposed to building someone else's kingdom, where there's a tyrannical male ruler pretty much calling the shots. And there's so many wonderful metaphors and examples and symbols for us to really be able to tune in quickly to powerful spiritual truths. And when we begin to build our own kingdom, our own energetic reality, our own energetic realm, land, our own garden of peace, at the center of it, what we want to build is our own personal sacred space. And our own personal sacred space is our place where we are located at the center, and we radiate from that center out energetically into our kingdom, and we create both magnets, welcoming wagons for positive energies, influences, people, other kingdoms, and we also send out barriers that will protect our kingdom from anything that is toxic, anything that is a parasitic, anything that would be harmful to us and our kingdom. And when we develop that as sacred space inside ourselves first, it is able to govern all of our kingdom, all of our land. And it's really quite amazing. It's really wonderful. And you'll see a physical example, of this when you look at a lot of Gothic, a lot of Renaissance buildings, a lot of cathedrals, where sacred geometry is employed. You'll find at the center of these villages, these towns, these areas, and in the the temple areas, the pyramids, basically all similar sacred spaces you'll find, or buildings that have survived and are here to give us this example. But at the center of them all is always a sacred space, typically underground springs, flowing water next to water, a sacred space where human beings can reboot, where they can retune, where they can recharge, where they can rejuvenate. And it's very, very beautiful, very, very wonderful, and very, very powerful. And you can do it, and you're already doing it, because you are already the center of your own kingdom, sending out hopefully the right barriers, and sending out hopefully the right magnetic attractions or open door invitations to healthy, non-toxic influences. And being at the center and recognizing that you are at this center is very, very powerful. And it can also open your eyes. You may see some areas where you did attract toxic influences, and then just recognize that. And the cool thing about that is not to fall into some toxic tradition of guilt and just get down on yourself and be guilty and oppress yourself. The opposite is you should just recognize, wow, this stuff really works. Attraction really works. And if you can attract something toxic, you can certainly, with the same or even less amount of energy attract something that is healthy, something that is nurturing, something that is kind, something that is loving, something that you desire to have in your kingdom. And it's the the metaphor used in a lot of different traditions of the husbandman or the gardener or the architect, where there is a creative force that is lovingly and powerfully balanced parental guide that is leading us all to pull out any weeds, pull out anything that's poisonous or toxic, and to plant good seed. And when we plant good seed, then we have a good harvest. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's really, really amazing. And some cool things, I think, to recognize and to say to ourselves, to prevent ourselves from being sabotaged by our own ego, is to just know that things can happen quickly. There are indigenous stories that say that things like the pyramids or the pyramid structures around the world that are incredibly massive, just huge, just unbelievable, and again, beyond even any technological ability, mechanical ability that we have right now in our so-called advanced age. Many traditions say that these structures appeared in one day. They weren't built slowly over time. It's like one day it was nothing, the next day it was there. And so that speaks to us at least of the possibility of what many traditions have called angels, helpers, influences that are currently residing in different realms of energy, different realms of reality, that are constantly helping us, leading us and guiding us, and providing overwhelming confirmation that these types of things are who we truly are. It's not just what we are just a few of the chosen are capable of. It's what we're all capable of. Look at the universe. I mean, it's constantly expanding. What do you think it's constantly expanding for? It's constantly expanding for to make room for your kingdom, your ever-expanding universe. And when we know that, and we recognize that, and we realize that, and we become aware of certain developments, such as the researcher, the scientist from MIT, who has proved without a shadow of a doubt that what we are living in is not the reality that we think it is. It's a simulation. It's like a computer program. And that base reality, true reality, where we truly are, is not where we think we are. And these things have been taught, they've been exposed, they've been illuminated ever since the beginning of time. Those shamans, those priests, those parental tribal parents who have been with a honest, loving, pure heart, leading and guiding all of humanity in a loving parental heart guiding way. They've been telling us these things. They've been telling us things like, they've been telling us things like, we are energetic beings, that what we see with our limited ability of physical eyeball sight is such a small part of all reality, and it is in fact Maya. It is in fact illusion. It is in fact a kingdom that is ruled, and you can find the examples in all the way back to the Sumerian tablets, any type of Babylonian influence, where at the top of everybody, at the top of all influence, at the top of all government, there is only one head, and it's not a mother and a father. It's basically a male tyrant, and so that is the kingdom that is being supported by the mindset, by the result of compliance thinking, as opposed to our own common sense thinking that has been imposed upon us by the Prussian military industrial age educational system that everyone has been subject to. So the cool thing is when humanity typically comes to a point where it is toxic to a place where everybody knows it and everybody recognizes it, there is always a great awakening that follows. And that's where we are right now. We're right in the point where everybody is recognizing, hey, I am, the ruler, the head of my own kingdom. I am the one who is in charge of my own reality, and I am going to revamp, rebuild, restructure to a point of having only a clean, clear, pure, non-toxic universe that I call my kingdom. And just by each one of us doing that, that will remove everything that is toxic in all of our realities. We aren't waiting for the right person to get elected. We aren't waiting for the right type of government. We aren't waiting for a system of control that makes everybody finally be good enough. All of, even as again, one-sided, female restricting, scripture says, or Bible says, that all of creation is waiting for the revelation of the sons of God. And so it speaks, that all of our manifested reality is waiting for the sons and daughters of the Creator to awaken and to reform all realities in our own personal, perfect, authentic life image. And that image is beautiful. It's wonderful. It is without any harm. And when we recognize, the influences that have brought us to this point in our current timeline, in our current reality, almost all of the toxic influences, our blood sacrifice, blood covenant influenced. And so when you take out all of this blood influence that is influenced upon humanity as a requirement to be good enough, as a requirement to make repairs, when you look at that influence and you follow it back to a point of origin that is truly a point of fall. And you can quickly reconnect, and you can fold space and time. You can have a amazingly wonderful breakthrough limit if you go back to your own personal experience as a child, when you found out that meat that you were eating was the sacrificed body of an animal. And when you found that out, how did you feel at that moment? Did that feel right? Or was it a terrible shock that you haven't really recovered from even till this point? Now, after that moment, of course, there's all types of copium that is fed to people to justify the slaughtering of something weaker to be able to support something supposedly stronger so that it can survive. And you find out that that influence is the exact same influence that feeds off of human beings and keeps us all in a place of being at war, being at strife, being at unforgivable offenses against each other, to a place where everybody recognizes that you can't recover, and it brings people to a conclusion that the only answer is to remove human beings from the earth. That's the only answer. That the utter destruction and there's so many just horrible words for it. The culling of certain nations, certain people. That once that is accomplished, the chosen few will remain and restore the earth. Beloved, it's just the opposite. Throwing off this oppressive system that is always, again, blood sacrifice, blood covenant oriented, throwing that off of ourselves and returning to a place of child innocence where we would never even think of slaughtering another living being for any reason whatsoever. When we remember that and we allow ourselves to transcend space and time and return to that moment when we first heard about that and how we first felt, we can quantum leap in every direction, because we will ascend from a savage mind, from a reptilian mind, from a predator mind, into a loving human, mammal, mammalian, new mind that is already waiting for us in our right in the center of both hemispheres of our brain, creating sacred space, because we are the Ark of the Covenant. Our body is the sacred space. Our body is the holy temple. And when we restore the right mind to that sacred place, it creates a sacred space that radiates the right energies out, up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west, in all of the directions, and creates our own personal, loving, kind, magical kingdom where we can all live happily ever after. Genothi Seutan, love, peace, blessing, all manner of goodness unto you and your family. Shalom. Namaste.